Good morning, East Africa. It is the 5th day of October. Welcome to your world on this morning, and we continue to make sense of this pandemic even as we take a day at a time. And speaking of which, according to the 2019 census, out of the 47 plus million Kenyans, over 13 million are aged between 18 to 35 years, which makes the youth, according to the Constitution, falls in this age bracket, 67% of the adult population. That said, it is extremely important that we keep tabs on how we are doing as a country in empowering this vital part of our population. Well, on their part, the Kenya School of Government and its partners are establishing youth innovation centers, with the first being launched in Isiolo County this Thursday, the 8th of October. We find out more about this venture and what it means for the future of our youth. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and this is your new normal. Today, the 6th of October, we focus on the initiative and impact of youth centers to be launched by the Kenya School of Government and partners. Government to develop a policy framework to enhance human capital in Kenya's informal economy to make it more competitive. Ethiopians defeat the virus with their relentless efforts of training athletes. Dancers from all over the world are back on stage after 7 months of forced absence. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast. As I mentioned earlier today, we're focusing on the welfare of the youth, particularly those youth innovation centers that will be launched by the Kenya School of Government. And on that note, the question of the day to you is, what kind of initiatives need to be put in place to give the youth an opportunity to make a living? Talk to us, that hashtag New Normal, on our social media handles. And remember, you can always make use of that number at the bottom of your screen to either text or call in. For now, let's take a look at the effects of COVID-19 around the world. Globally this morning, that number stands at 35,696,287 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Out of that number, 26,866,625 have totally recovered, and unfortunately, globally, we've lost 1,045,928 people to COVID-19. So what's the situation in Kenya? Well, as per yesterday's briefing, 39,449 people confirmed to have contracted the virus. Out of that number, 27,035 people have totally recovered. And unfortunately, we have lost 735 Kenyans to COVID-19. Again, these numbers change every day. And right now, especially in the country, there is worry that there seems to be a surge in numbers, especially in the counties. So again, do take care and take the necessary precautions to deter the pandemic. Well, let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines. In South Africa, National Defence Force patrol guards round up groups of Zimbabweans who have been illegally crossing into South Africa to buy goods since the lifting of travel restrictions. Hundreds were arrested as they tried to smuggle groceries back to impoverished Zimbabwe, where an economic downturn and rampant hyperinflation have destroyed livelihoods.
Where we stay, there's no food, enough food. We are hungry. So here we come nearby shops and buy cheaper food, then go back to Zimbabwe.
In our line of work here in the border, it's quite hectic. We are having a challenge of undocumented persons that are crossing on daily basis. We've got cigarette smugglers that are working in form of syndicates, and that one is an organized crime whereby before their consignment can cross, they already have transport that is arranged in advance.
In Ethiopia, Bekoji, a town 225 kilometers south of the capital, Addis Ababa, is renowned for producing running stars who have collectively bagged some 18 Olympic medals. Back in Bekoji, while up-and-coming young athletes were excited to watch Ethiopian athletes compete in the just concluded London Marathon, they are still getting back into their stride after months of pandemic-related disruptions. Fatia Abdi, a coach, says, "We stopped training after the first coronavirus case. However, I started meeting with them weekly and giving them advice to keep them motivated. I told them that coronavirus is a killer, but we shouldn't be neglectful of our training. We have to defeat the virus with our relentless efforts." Still on the continent, and dozens of Angolans marched on Saturday against alleged state corruption after Portuguese media accused the president's chief of staff of embezzlement, damaging the credibility of an ongoing anti-graft campaign against the former regime. Geraldo Dalla, one of the organizers of the event, said, "We are here once again to demonstrate against another thief in our country. We can't accept this injustice. We did not study to be joked around with like this." Teresa Luther King, a human rights activist, says one of the duties of a president of the republic is a fight against corruption. So we demand he starts with one with whom he shares his office, with whom he shares the same table. Once again, the people must wake up. Our God does not love idiots. 45 years is too much. We want our country to be restored.
Ontem ficou acordado com a polícia. Iríamos ficar.
Elsewhere, for 3 years, communities have fought each other in the eastern province of Ituri in the Democratic Republic of Congo. To restore peace, Kinshasa has sent former warlords to try help disarm militiamen from an ethnic Lendu political military sect accused by the United Nations of the massacre of hundreds of civilians, mainly of their rivals, the Hema people.
Ituri province, in the northeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo, provides an essential gateway to trade with East Africa. Trucks tail back, returning to Uganda and Kenya after delivering fuel and other goods. But commercial drivers are not the only ones on the road. United Nations forces are on patrol, trying to maintain peace in a region that has been the scene of bloody conflict for the past 3 years.
When we arrived on the 24th of April 2020, the security situation here was very complicated. We found ourselves amid clashes between armed groups and clashes between the Lendu and Hema ethnic groups.
The UN accuses a Lendu militia known as Codeco of the massacre of hundreds of civilians since late 2017. Most of the victims are part of the rival Hema ethnic group. In retaliation, state security forces have laid waste to Lendu villages. This tit-for-tat violence has displaced tens of thousands from both sides.
Nobody wants to stay in a situation like this. People usually want to return to their villages, but the main concern is safety. That calm should be restored.
To do just that, the central government is sending former warlords as unlikely peace envoys to meet with Codeco. The delegation is met with a display of force from the militiamen. Among the visitors is one Germain Katanga, a man found guilty of war crimes in 2014 by the International Criminal Court. Today, he's more interested in peace.
The head of state sent us here to seek peace. Firstly, they are agreeing with the president's appeal. You'll see, it was a long discussion, but in the end, we reached an agreement.
Since the arrival of President Felix Tshisekedi's peace envoys, Violence in the region has significantly decreased, but the embers of this conflict are still smouldering.
Now, following the just concluded state visit to France by President Uhuru Kenyatta, French President Emmanuel Macron made note of an upcoming summit with major partners. He said China would be there, including European, American and other Asian countries beyond China, to redefine together the rules of financing the African economy.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
We are here to tell you of the opportunities that exist in Kenya, the opportunities that exist within our young people, and how by closely collaborating, we can actually lift ourselves as a continent and as a country out of poverty. We look at the African continent sometimes from a perspective of its natural wealth, the gold, the diamonds, the oil, the gas. But what we tend not to see is what is the true African potential. And the true African potential is our young men and women and the capacity they have to participate with you to build a greater and better world for all of us.
Il y en a qui vont douter, pas nous.
Now, in the southernmost Tunisian town of Tataouine, being young often means being unemployed, while even those who have a job dream of landing a real one in the energy sector. For weeks, protesters have blocked roads and sought to prevent trucks from delivering supplies to the remote El Kamor pumping station in the desert outside the town. Khalid Jadi, unemployed, says every time we see the vehicles of the oil company transporting foreigners or Tunisians from the north, they never hire anyone from the region. They tell us we have no formal training. They should just train us for 1 or 2 years and then give us jobs. Khalid Jadi says all those between the ages of 12 and 30 only dream of leaving the country illegally. Even if they have a wife and children, that's all they think about. What do you want them to do? A desperate situation that is probably reflected in many parts of the country, especially during this pandemic. And here in the country, the youth are also crying out, considering that the pandemic has considerably affected the social economic status of the country, taking away their livelihoods. But this morning, we understand better what you and I can do, how the government and other stakeholders can invest on empowering the youth. Remember, we mentioned that they make a huge percentage of our population. 13 million is a huge number. So to help us have this conversation, we are joined in studio by Priska Oluoch, who is the Director, Linkages and Collaboration at the Kenya School of Government. We are also joined virtually by Julius Scott, who is the UK Aid British High Commission. We are also joined by Honorable Sumaya Bishar, who is the member, a member of the Isiolo County Assembly. Thank you all for joining us. We hope that the governor will be joining us in a moment. For now, let's start off with you, Priska. We are hearing youth innovation centers are coming up. We are launching one in Isiolo this Thursday. What exactly are these youth centers we speak of?
Thank you very much, Gladyss, and thank you for having us as government at NTV this morning. The Youth Innovation Center that the Kenya School of Government is launching in Isiolo is part of a broader agenda that the school has to create information hubs for the youth in order to facilitate access to information to our young people, which many times is the gap between helping young people to access either employment or to develop and realize their talent and their dreams. Mm-hmm. So this Youth Innovation Center, the first one we are having in Isiolo, is a one-stop shop for the youth around Isiolo to be able to access information about government opportunities, about opportunities to train in different arts, for instance, filmmaking, to be able to access information about employment within the wider area in the northern part of Kenya, about education, about anti-FGM information and other government initiatives, as well as information from our partners.
And when you talk about partners, you have collaborated with the UKA DFID, Isiolo County government, and of course the government of Norway. Why these partners?
To be honest, Gladys, these partners, because they were early adopters and they have very clear in their agenda what they wanted to do. And partly it's because the School of Government was under the Ministry of Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs. You remember that that is the ministry that in fact was in charge of the youth, but more recently there was a change and therefore the Ministry of Youth was relocated. So these particular partners had in their strategy agenda for youth, and as a school we looked for people who are like-minded and wanted to propel the youth agenda, particularly in entrepreneurship, self-employment and development of talent. And these particular partners were ready.
Okay, and speaking of partners, we are joined by one, Julius Court, UKA, British High Commission. Why have you come in to actually partner in this project?
So like you were highlighting, this issue of youth, they're so much part of the population, they're a key part of the population. And we think that youth issues are perhaps the #1 policy issue facing the country, particularly around jobs. And this initiative was exactly, as you're highlighting, it's really about tapping into that entrepreneurial spirit in young people
Okay, we seem to be having challenges with your network connection, Julius. We'll get back to you in a moment. But of course, this is being done and being launched in Isiolo County. And we have a member of the Isiolo County Assembly, Honorable Sumer Bishar. You are there representing the youth. Is this already something that you were looking forward to, and how much will it come to change the lives of the youth in this county?
Thank you, Gladys. I think this is the real deal as far as youths in Isiolo is concerned. And I am very lucky to be representing the youths at this particular moment in time, whereby we are having the KSG coming in and helping us setting an Youth Innovation Center. I mean, when you look at the 4th schedule of the Constitution, as far as the youth issue is concerned, there is a lacuna in the Constitution whereby the youth function is devolved, whether it is devolved or not. But we are having counties setting up ministries of the youth, and now that we have the KSG coming on board and helping us with the donors in setting up the Youth Innovation Center, I think this is the right step that probably all donors should take, and probably all government institutions should take as far as the youth is concerned. So this is really the deal breaker for the youths, whereby you're giving them access to information. The youths do not need any other thing. If you give them access to innovation, to information, that is, then that clearly defines the opportunities, and where information is, opportunities are.
Excellent. And speaking of which, the 2020 World Youth Skills Day was actually held in July of this year, and it was done in an environment of unprecedented circumstances as many youth lose their jobs owing to the adverse effects of COVID-19. Now this year the day was themed Skills for Resilient Youth, placing emphasis on the need for greater agility in the labour market. Now the Kenya Private Sector Alliance has lauded efforts towards mainstreaming skills acquired through informal channels.
Recognition of prior learning is increasingly being adopted by governments across the world as a way of ensuring the labour market has a structure through which it identifies the skills acquired through informal avenues. The Kenya Private Sector Alliance argues that this provides a critical platform through which the youth can access more opportunities in the labour market.
It is not that people don't have a gift or a talent or a skill. It's just that sometimes we don't add knowledge to it, and if we do not have the background or the training to actually turn that skill or that gift or that talent into a business.
The Kenya Private Sector Alliance further says that adopting measures towards supporting medium-sized businesses would be critical in creating more employment opportunities to absorb the youth.
One of the greatest challenges in that has been what is called the missing middle. So you've got a lot of micros, you've got a lot of small. Actually, micro make about 83% of the MSME, and that's where most of the youth fall. And so because of the missing middle, it means that we don't have enough companies growing and scaling up in order to absorb more employees.
The World Youth Skills Day was first celebrated on July 15, 2015, as a way of bringing to visibility the challenges faced by and opportunities presented to the youth within economies across the globe. This year, the day has been celebrated within the unprecedented circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has seen many youth lose their jobs.
With the onset of COVID, can we look at import substitution? Can we increase our local production for things that we have been importing and yet can be able to actually manufacture here? Look at the number of jobs that have just been created by masks alone.
Julian's Amboko, NTV.
Now, just watching that report, Julius, so you were cut off by your connection, but you were saying the importance of being a partner in this project.
That's exactly right. You know, youth are such an important part of this country. And what we're trying to do with our partners is really tap into that aspiration and tap into that ambition and really develop their community. It matters because it helps them put food on the table, but it helps them really generate interesting jobs, generates revenue, generates incomes, and helps the economy grow. And that's why we're so excited about partnering with the government of Isiolo and with the Kenya School of Government.
Okay, and KSG has gone ahead and started off with Isiolo County. What are some of the ripple effects that you're seeing with the establishment of these youth innovation centers?
I'd say that the first has been an interest in actually professionalizing these trades by the youth. Because sometimes there is the thinking that one can just say, do mechanic work, or one can just become a business person. But then there has been this interest from the youth to first of all learn. So as a Kenya School of Government, I would say we did not struggle so much after we started the work with the youth to teach them a few skills, basic skills, and not only the technical skills, but also behavioral skills, because discipline is critical to this particular venture, especially self-employment. So we are seeing a very interesting ripple effect in terms of better behavior, in terms of perhaps less interest in destructive behaviors in the community. And we are seeing an inclusion of people who were not initially the target, that is the county government, and also other adults that are interested in guiding their youth to this particular kind of hub. Secondly, another ripple effect is that we realize that information is power. And more than the kind of information we are giving, the youth are also innovating and sharing information among themselves. And this is great, because then you have a constant way in which these people are able to communicate and are able to share what they learn, both in formal and informal ways.
Okay, and Sumaya, when we talk about destructive behavior, what are some of those that such projects are bound to deter the youth from?
Thank you, Gladys. As you know, when you say idleness, when you're idle, a lot of things come by, and as youths, we have the issue of peer pressure, Gladys.
Yes.
So what we as at now, what we've seen that we've done training, that is the KSG have taken youths to Embo, they've done training on entrepreneurship, And the ripple effect as we speak right now is that for the 7-month period whereby we've had the pandemic, we've had interesting things, especially from the youths who are doing interesting things in the county. They're doing businesses that are generating revenue. And this has led to another ripple effect whereby we have decrease in drugs and addiction. We have decrease in crime. And Isiolo is well known for violent extremism. And also this is going down because the youths are engaged in as far as entrepreneurship is concerned.
And Julius, when we speak about meeting the needs of the youth and keeping them engaged, this is not unique to only this project or Isiolo for that matter. You have been working with the youth and empowerment of the same. What have you seen work in other areas? Julius? Okay, we really are having a hard time with his network, so we shall actually see if we can have a phone call soon to him so that he can actually engage with us. But I'm curious to know, Priska, why you concentrated on the northern region?
Gladys, this was not just a concentration. When the idea of having youth innovation centers started, the Kenya School of Government actually approached different counties, and I would say it was counties in the different parts of the country. So I would like to congratulate Isiolo for being early adopters. They came forward very quickly and were ready to not only take up the idea, but also to offer to the school a piece of land where we could actually start this particular initiative. So other counties were also interested, but probably their wheels rolled a bit slowly. And as our plan was, we should start with one and then move to the next. But that said, we also thought that the northern part of Kenya has been deprived for a long time. And therefore, our focus was, if it is possible to start with one of the counties that indeed one is ready and we will have the support of both government and development partners. And secondly, that there is buy-in from the community so that it's not just our idea coming from out. So we were very keen that whoever we are working with initially will bring in the community and the youth themselves will be ready so that we can succeed and then replicate this. So that's what happened with Isiolo. But I must say there was initiative, there was willingness, and I hope the governor will be joining us soon. He has been very, very supportive.
And actually, he has joined us. Let's set him up before we can talk to him. But also, you are focusing on other counties within the northern frontier. So when are you going to the next counties? Is Isiolo now Thursday, and then the next month we'll see subsequent launch of the same?
We would have liked it to be as fast as that. As you know, COVID has set us back a little bit in terms of planning and rolling out. But yes, we will be, on the one hand, also sharing some resources. So we are already reaching out to the neighboring counties before we actually set up, because the whole importance of this kind of center is to also bring cohesion between the counties. So that, yes, Isiolo already has it, but we want to interest those in the neighboring counties to start coming to Isiolo to see what we are doing. And together, we start seeing some cohesion between neighbors before we set up something in the next county. So this year, we will be looking at going to the next county, that is to Moyale, but it will not be 1 month and then the next month like that. We want to bring these people together. And one of the ways in which we are doing that, Gladyss, is also through film, where we help and showcase how these communities can work together. Young people get together, they get married, with people across cultures, and some of these things will then somehow open up so that the hubs may not be replicated in each and every county, but we find ways of them working together.
Kindly list the other counties that you'll be present in.
The other counties that we will be present in include the Marsabit County, Moyale, we have Laikipia, actually, up there in the north. We also have Kwale County down there. They already have a hub, but we will be working together with the hub that they have, which is run by UMA Initiative. We will also do Garissa, and sorry, I can't remember the other one by heart, but I think, yes.
All right, if I can just run through what
yes,
I have.
please.
Isiolo, Marsabit, Wajir, Mandera, Turkana,
Yes.
Garissa, Lamu, and Tana River.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right then. And Sumaya, definitely this, as you said, is something that the youth will have been waiting for such opportunities to come their way. And earlier we said, and it was actually emphasized on by the Kenya Private Alliance, that the skill set is what gives you that added advantage, even as you are given that kind of information. Talk about the importance of this and how this is going to be achieved.
Thank you, Gladys. Forget the white-collar job. I mean, the world is changing, and where we're going into as a country is whereby we're going towards the direction of skills. What can you actually do? What can you bring out? What can you manufacture? What can you come up with? That is where we're going, Gladys. And I think is the right time, even having partners coming in and training our people on entrepreneurship so that they can tap their skills. If you are probably a plumber or whether you are an electrician, then for you to start doing your activities or for you to start doing your business venture, then you need basic skills in entrepreneurship, whereby you know the accounts, you know the balances, you know how to do reconciliations of these things. You need behavior change in terms of how you're doing things so that you will go to the next mile. So this is critical in terms of setting up skills for the youth and also having that spark in their business ventures, Gladys.
Okay, now we'll take a short break on Your World at this moment, but when we come back, we'll definitely be hearing from the governor of Isiolo County, who has joined us, and of course that Fast Youth Innovation Center will be launched in his county, and he'll tell us the added advantage he brings to his county, and of course what it has entailed to get him here. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with Your World this morning. We are talking about the youth innovation centers that are being set up by the Kenya School of Government in collaboration with other partners. The Pioneer or pilot project is in Isiolo County, and that will be launched this Thursday. And speaking of which, we're finally joined by the governor of Isiolo County, that is Dr. Mohammed Kuti. Thank you for joining us on this conversation. Definitely Isiolo is going to be reaping benefits. What are these benefits that you envision for the youth of this county?
Thank you, Gladys. Good morning, everybody. I think today we are talking about a very critical population in Kenya. You know, I was cabinet minister for youth between 2005 and 2007. And I came to realize that the youth are very innovative and they are full of energy. And this energy, if we utilize them properly, we can, because of their innovativeness, we can reap a lot of benefit. But if we also not utilize this energy properly, then definitely it's a sitting time bomb. So I'm very, very glad that in Isiolo, we are among the first, not even among, we are the first county to launch this Youth Innovation Center, which has a business hub. It has an ICT Innovation Center. It has music and art and film incubation centers. So this way then our young people, because as you realize, Gladyss, the richest youth all over the world are not actually the ones that went to university and got a PhD. There are those who are playing football in Europe. There are those who are film stars and celebrities. In fact, even you don't become a celebrity by being a professor or a PhD holder. You become a celebrity through arts, through music, and these other professions. So I think for the first time, therefore, Isiolo we will be able to have Isiolo Wood, which is similar to Hollywood or Bollywood, through this film, and we are partnering with the Film Classification Board, and therefore, and then music and art and these studios will be able to train our young people so that they become musicians, they become film stars, they become and the most important one also is the business incubation hub, because there are a lot of business ideas in Kenya. As we were talking last time during the COVID conference, we realized there are a lot of small manufacturing that young people can do, and that requires training in the issues of business, and then we can have our own young people manufacturing small things like the way I spoke about the toothpick, because we can produce that, and our people can be trained, and they can be supported, and they become the young entrepreneurs. There's also the issue of leadership. You know, young people need to be nurtured to become leaders, and this center will also provide a leadership training for our young people. And I'm very glad that Kenya School of Government, which is actually a center of excellence for training leaders, all government officials, be they ministers, be they permanent secretaries, governors, we all have passed at one point or the other through Kenya School of Government because of the quality of their leadership training. And we are very proud, and we are very grateful that Kenya School of Government came on board and partnered with us to develop this Youth Empowerment Center, where therefore even young leaders could be nurtured and trained at this center.
Okay, and speaking about training, on the World Youth Skills Day this year that was marked in July, again, the government said that it is developing a policy framework which will enhance the human capital in Kenya's informal economy to make the sector more competitive. Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Simon Chalugui says it is important that the country tailors targeted intervention in the informal sector, given that it accounts for at least 80% of the jobs created every year coming in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. And this year's World Youth Skills Day was themed Skills for Resilient Youth. And Sumer, coming from this county, what is this potential you see among the youth in this county that can be exploited and, of course, enhanced for the betterment of the county?
Thank you, Gladys. As we know, the national percentage of youths in the country is at 67%, mere 67%. The same statistic is trickling down the county with almost the same percentage of youths in the county. And in Isiolo County, the youth is the majority of the population of the county. And if we talk about harnessing the skills, then this is the only thing that will actually this is the only thing that will set us apart from probably the rest of other countries and the rest of other counties, whereby, I mean, if you're able to tap the potential of the youths and the energy of the youths who are lying idle, especially in the streets of Isiolo, then this means that our GDP as a county will go up. We'll also have socioeconomic status of the county going up, whereby we have the poverty index in the county rising up in as far as informal settlement is concerned. Because if you generate revenue, or if you generate an income for youth, then this goes down to as far as the family status being increased, and also probably the livelihoods of the county going up, Gladys. So the dependent level in as far as the county government and probably the partners, that is in terms of the donors, will decrease. So the issue of self-sufficiency and probably the resilience will come out.
And a lot of people would associate success with the urban centers. But now we are seeing these tentacles are within the rural and the marginalized setting. How have you seen that work in other areas, and what are the benefits out of the same in equalizing the playing field? Julius?
Gladys, forgive me.
Thank you and your watchers for their
Go
patience
ahead.
in getting us connected. So
we're very proud of our partnership with Isiolo, and as you've rightly highlighted, this youth and this innovation program is one part of it. As the governor will know well, we launched it together. We have a very strong urban program, but and that's helping the city plan better. It's helping the city prepare for investment. And what that means is that that has a value chain across the county. So one of the issues we're looking at is around livestock. And so we were together a few months ago with the governor at a meat processing plant that they're building there that will not just be for Isiolo, but for the wider sub-region and hoping to export. And that's exactly the kind of initiative that helps the city, but also has linkages out through the wider economy.
Okay, now I'll interrupt this conversation just for a short while, even as we appreciate our celebrities, now that we're talking about celebrities, but definitely our hero. We're talking about Vincent Kipchumber, who came in second in the just concluded 40th London Marathon, and he has just landed in the County of Champions. We are now joined by my colleague Lois Wangoi, who is with the champion. Lois?
A very good morning to you, my colleague Gladys Gachanja, and of course to you, dear viewer. We are coming to live from the Eldoret International Airport, where this airport this morning has played a host to the arrival ceremony of some of our athletes who participated in the London Marathon, and Vincent Kipchumber, who put a brave fight in the men's category and emerged in position 2, is now here with us. We just want to speak to him and to understand how that experience was for him. Kipchumber, habari? Karibu hapa NTV, sijui utakaribia hapa kidogo ndo tupate mwangaza. Pongezi sana for good work pale mjini London. Pengine tuanze kwa utuambie, how was your experience ulipokuwa pale London unakimbia kwa hii London Marathon?
Kwanza kabisa nataka nishukuru Mungu kwa uwezo huo yenye alipea uwezo.
Kwa sauti kidogo Kipchumber.
Kwanza nataka nishukuru Mungu kwa uwezo huo ambao alinipea kwamba nikaweza kupata nafasi ya pili katika huo mbio.
Na Kipchumber, tuliona pale the Ethiopians wali put up such a brave competition kwa nyinyi kama Kenyans. How was it racing against them, na ulikuwa unatumia tactic gani kuhakikisha kwamba unamaliza kwa podium?
Hapo hivyo kwanza ilikuwa mbio yenye haikuwa rahisi, kwamba ilikuwa inabidi ukuwe na ukakamavu, pia ukuwe na akili pia yenye ni strong. Juu kwamba haingewezekana pia nikimbie bila wenzangu, rafiki yangu Vincent. hapo hivyo ndio tuliweza tukasaidiana mpaka mahali penye tuliweza ndio.
Na dakika za mwisho kabisa tuliona uliweza kuweka bidii ili kuhakikisha unamaliza pale kwa podium, na wale wa Ethiopia mkapelekana mbio sana, your last kick, your last performance hapo mpaka uende ukue number 1. Nini ilikuwa inaenda through your mind at that point?
Nilikuwa najaribu kubreak hiyo group kwamba niweze kukick, but niliweza kujitahidi mpaka penye niliweza.
Na finally ukamaliza race, ukaona umekuwa position 2. How did that feel? Na vile vile umetuambia ulikuwa na teamwork. Bado unaangalia wenzako kina Vincent hapa ambaye tutazungumza naye, kina Kipchoge, ukakuwa namba 2 Eliud. How did you feel about your performance as Vincent and as Team Kenya?
Hiyo position iliweza kufurahia. I think ni hivyo.
Na pengine watu wengi hawakuwa wamekufahamu vizuri Vincent. Pengine uambie una train wapi, unaishi wapi? Najua unaishi hapa maeneo ya Kapseret, lakini ujifahamisha kidogo kwa Wakenya.
Mahali penye naishi Kapseret, Isiolo County. But mahali penye na trainia ni Kapseret, Nandi County, Kapsabet, Nandi County.
Okay, na Kipruto, I can tell you the last few minutes sasa zenye ulikuwa unakimbia, Wakenya walipoona sasa ndio hii umeingia kwa hiyo ligi ya hawa wa Ethiopia na unakata kabisa hiyo podium yao ambao walikuwa wanajaribu kupanga 1 2 3, watu walishangilia, walipiga makofi. Je, kwa akili yako pia ulikuwa unakumbuka nyumbani ukijaribu kabisa kukata hii lineup yao ambayo ulikata na ukakuwa namba 2?
Nilikuwa nakumbuka kwamba najaribu kujitetea, hili hali ni kwamba hili hali haikuwezekana, but tunashukuru kwa hiyo nambari ya 2.
Asante sana Vincent, tunashukuru kwa muda wako and all the best. Maybe you can speak to your friend here. Wacha unaweza kusimama huko, mimi nisonge hapa. Vincent, how are you? Karibu sana nyumbani. Pengine tuanze kwa kutuambia how was London Marathon for you? Ukiwa pale ulikuwa vipi?
London Marathon was one of my best races.
Vincent Kipruto, tuongeze sauti kidogo naomba tu.
Sawa.
Najua umechoka kidogo tu.
Sawa. London Marathon was a big privilege to me to race one of the world major marathons. So I was happy. Yes.
Okay. Pengine tactic yako ambayo ulikuwa unatumia ni gani? Vincent hapa alikuwa anatuambia mlikuwa na teamwork, lakini pia alikuwa anachunga sana wa Ethiopia wasichukue the whole podium. Tactic yako kama Benson Kipruto ulikuwa umepanga vipi na unahisi uliperform vipi?
Tactics, we had a teamwork with my friend and colleague Vincent, but weather conditions were not so good. At some point I had some hamstring problem, so I had to do my best, and for the results I was very happy. Yes.
And maybe just before we finish, hiyo maswala ya weather, how it was. Tuliona hata our champion, our hero Eliud Kipchoge akisema pia upepo ulitatiza sana masikio yake. Was the weather condition very harsh? Benye pia unasema pia wewe ilikutatiza kidogo.
It was very tough, very bad conditions, raining all the way through the race. Yes, so it was not good, and we wish Kipchoge very well. Yes. Thank you.
Asante sana Vincent Kipruto. Asante. Thank you very much Vincent Kipchumber, totally appreciated. And when it comes to the ladies side, we did see Bridget Kosgei successfully defending her title in the London Marathon that last Sunday. And now we are joined by her pace setter Vivian, ambaye vile vile tutataka tuzungumze naye tuone how they prepared and how they were able to tackle such competition and defend their title. Hi Vivian, habari ya leo?
Mzuri.
Uko fiti?
Niko mzima.
So pale London tuliona mlienda mmejipanga sawa sawa kutetea taji la Bridget na mkapata. Kwanza kabisa wewe kama peseta wake mlipoanza mbio ilikuwa vipi? Course ilikuwa tofauti, weather ilikuwa vipi?
Mzuri, press ilikuwa mzuri lakini ilinyesha tangu asubuhi. Tukianza kutoka kwa hoteli ilikuwa imenyesha sana. Kufika kwa starting naye tena tukachoka na mvua. Tukaona weather ilikuwa mzito lakini niliambia Bridget tunataka tungangane tu kwa uwezo wa kadri yetu. Kama tumefika huko, tunataka tungangane kabisa. Tulianza mzuri. Pace ilikuwa sawa, course ilikuwa sawa. Sasa sisi tumezoea nyumbani huko ni mamlima, tunataramuka, tunapanda, tunataramuka, lakini tulifika huko kosi ilikuwa sawa, ni ile tu kunyesha tu ilikuwa msito sana. Lakini pesa ilikuwa sawa.
Na venye mlienda na Bridget, mlikuwa mnaenda kutetea title. Manake Bridget ndio alikuwa ameshinda London Marathon last year. So mlipofika pale mlikuwa na pressure kidogo. Mkiangalia lineup, mkiangalia mnataikana ku defend title. How was that for you?
Kweli tulikuwa na pressure kwa vile tulikuwa tumeona Vivian na hapo, kuna Ruth Mwetich na kuna msichana anatoka US. Sasa nilikuwa naambia Bridget tunataka tu tungangane kwa vile time ya tuliambiwa tunataka tukimbie ilikuwa juu sana. Lakini tulingangana, hiyo mvua tu ndio haiku nini. Mvua ilikuwa mingi mpaka hatukuweza tena kukimbia time. Akimbia tu 18:58. Tulingangana hiyo time kabisa.
Na pengine ulipopesetia Bridget na ikafika sasa wakati wako wa kutoka na kuanza kumwangalia akikimbia, ulikuwa unastuka, ulikuwa unapata moyo venye alifungua ile gap vizuri, ama at some point pia ulikuwa unaogopa?
Hapana, nilikuwa nimefurahi wakati nilipace mpaka 25 na nikaambia Bridget sasa mimi nimetoka nje, nataka ungangane. Lakini wakati nilienda kubadilisha nikarudi, nilikuwa na Bridget naye amengangana amefungua, nikaambia hiyo ni mzuri. Nilikuwa na furahi sana. Nilikuwa na furaha. Yaani nilikuwa na ruka tu ndani.
Na pengine pia wewe kama pace setter, what many people do not know ni kwamba pia wewe unakuanga na target yako. Wewe ulipomaliza pale kwa 25 kilometers na ukaondoka uwanjani, ulihisi kwamba as pace setter wa Bridget umempatia the best support na umeperform vizuri?
Nilikuwa nimepace mzuri kabisa.
Asante sana. Pengine one thing before tuondoke hewani ni kwamba it is such a privilege kuwork na huyu bingwa when it comes to marathon ladies, Bridget Kosgei. How does it feel mkiwork na yeye, mkifanya mazoezi pale nyumbani? How is it for you? Is it an inspirational experience? Anakufanya upate psych?
Yes, Bridget alikuwa anaenda mbele alafu mimi nifuate yeye kabisa. Alikuwa anataka nifuate yeye. Hata mimi naye nipate moral nikimbia hata nikuwe kama yeye.
Asante. Thank you, Vivian. And just before we hand you back over to Nairobi, maybe just a word from Bridget's coach who is here. Pengine coach, habari yako?
Mzuri sana.
Tuambie bingwa mrembo anafika siku gani na performance yake ilikufurahisha wewe kama coach wake?
Mimi nafurahi sana sababu ya kile tulifanya, preparation tulifanya ya kutosha na kuonyesha tumekimbia mzuri. Sasa vile tuliwin, najua ilikuwa na mvua kubwa sana. Hatukutarajia hivyo. Na ilikuwa natarajia tukimbie mzuri. Lakini naye tukasema asante, Mungu ametupea mpaka hapo. Watu wengi wako kumaliza. Lakini tulijaribu. Naye mimi nasema tu naongera Bridget alikimbia. Kusema kweli alikimbia. Yeye lazima alipambana. Alafu pia alipaka huko sababu ya organization ya huko. Ma winners walipaka huko. Number one ladies, number one men's na Kipchumber. Hiyo ni walipaka huko. Sasa tungeweza kujua
Very quickly coach, tukimalizia muda haunasi, secret ilikuwa ni nini ya kuhakikisha huyu bingwa anafika pale London, hata ingawa course ni tofauti, ilikuwa ina changamoto, bado aliweza kutetea taji lake? Kwa kifupi tu.
Mimi lazima nitetee sababu nilikuwa na train yeye aliwin yako na world record.
Tuongeze sauti kidogo.
Nasema mimi mwenyewe lazima nijitahidi sababu yeye ndio yako na world record. Lazima niende hapo nihakikisha win na retain. Lazima nilikuwa na pressure sana. Kwa the last 2 months nilikuwa na pressure kubwa sana. Kubwa sana. Sababu unajua kama wewe mwenyewe na umewin na unashindwa kudefend. Lazima udefend kitu kama hiyo.
Asante. Thank you. There we have it. Our team, a section of our team who participated in London Marathon just arriving here in Eldoret Town. Great reception and of course a great contribution to the world of athletics. We'll be coming back to you with much more as our champions keep streaming in here in Eldoret. For now, back to you in Nairobi, Gladyss.
Thank you, Lois Wangui. And of course, we celebrate all that participated in the 40th London Marathon. And of course, we do appreciate the performance of Vincent Kipchumber, who came in second in that London Marathon. So celebrations continue in the City of Champions, and we shall be giving you more pictures and reactions in our subsequent bulletins. For now, let's take a break on Your World.
government is something that has been a great hindrance but interest to the youth, because government actually provides a lot of employment and a lot of opportunities in terms of supplies. So we have people that went into agriculture. We have had those who have gone into hairdressing. We have had people that have gone into small manufacturing, as the governor spoke about. And we have also had, interestingly, people that went back to school, for instance, to study nursing and to be able to help, take care of the aged and the elderly in their homes. So the variety of interest and the variety of initiatives that have arisen out of the 52 very successful stories that perhaps I would refer your viewers to a very interesting documentary that you actually aired at 6 o'clock on Sunday, is that you will hear the voice of the youth themselves saying before and after of the initiatives that they've been able to undertake. And to think that agriculture has been one of the initiatives that the young people have picked up, and also beekeeping. So it's all been very interesting, very varied, and has the sustainability tag on it, because we can assure you these people are motivated, self-motivated.
Okay, Sumail, let's talk about the challenges therein and perhaps the role of religion and culture in all this. We've mentioned that FGM is one of them, and for the REIT to be, or these initiatives to be, equally accessible to all, this needs to be addressed. So how are you addressing such cultural beliefs and rights?
All right, thank you, Gladys. And as far as probably culture, we've not had a major challenge in as far as religion is concerned, but our major challenge, especially in Isiolo County, is issues to do with cultural barriers and cultural beliefs. But we have really tried to take up this challenge in such a way that we had a low involvement in the girl child in as far as probably the training is concerned, and in as far as also the success story is concerned. But we have really tried to push this up, and you've heard from Priska that really the girl child is also having the success in as far as this program is concerned. So that is as far as challenges is concerned. Gladys.
Julius, you've had your footprints across the country, as you earlier mentioned. How do you ensure that you win over the host communities?
So when we design programs, and it's a great question, you have to talk to people about what their wants and their needs are, what their aspirations are, and you also have to make it relevant to the local market, particularly if you're in these youth skills programs. So that's one way that we try and do it. We're very we put a huge amount of effort into talking to our stakeholders. And the most exciting thing about this is that wherever you go in Kenya, there is such a pool of entrepreneurship and innovation. So to give you one example, we're supporting a firm up in West Pokot, outside Kapenguria, about 90 minutes outside. And this is a couple of innovators and entrepreneurs who 3D print their components. They have solar-powered fridges that they then put on coolers, that they then go around the area and collect milk. And what that does is it helps the farmers have more income, because they're getting more milk, more quality milk to the co-op. And so there's more jobs, more income for the farmers, jobs for the boda drivers who go around. And the most amazing thing is it's all done with a mobile phone. So everybody benefits. This is the kind of thing where you link it to the local community and you add that bit of innovation that Kenya is so famous for.
And Governor Kuti, you've been lauded by other partners as having, latched on to this vision and ran with it. What is your secret in rallying these communities behind these amazing ideas?
Well, I think I owe it to my experience as a Minister for Youth in 2005, because I really appreciate. Sometimes as leaders, we have this notion of youth being leaders of tomorrow, and we hide behind that kind of theory, But youth are actually, through that experience as a minister, I realized youth actually need to be, and I also want to say our fathers and our traditional culture include youth right from the beginning, right from the birth. There is ceremonies people go through stage by stage, and youth then become responsible members of the community because of the inclusion that the communities and the importance communities give them, you know, the circumcision, the stages people go through. But in urbanization reduces that, and everybody is rushing, you know, parents are very busy, and the youth are left to the TVs and to the, when they are younger, to the nuns, and therefore there's no proper nurturing, there is no proper inclusion, and there is no proper preparation for them to come on stage and participate. And I think that experience and how to know how innovative the young minds are, and they are sometimes even ahead of us, is the background that made sure that I involved the youth right from the beginning. As I'm talking right now, we are 60% done with FIFA standard stadium, which then we will have at least athletes trained there, we will have footballers. In fact, even before this facility, young people in Isiolo, on that rough, you know, grounds that are full of stones, were able to organize themselves into football clubs and be able to compete at regional levels, national level, and we have quite a number of them now in European leagues, just from the, you know, their own initiative and their own organization. So by coming in and creating this FIFA standard stadium, we will be able to nurture those talents, and they will be able to train better, and we will have more of them being off-taken and become Ronaldos and Messi's of future, you know. Yeah. Also, the stadium has facility for athletes. It has facility for tennis and other sports. So if now we have this youth empowerment center, which then also will now train those with talents in filmmaking, in music, in art, and those who have business talents to be able to be nurtured to become future entrepreneurs. And then the ICT hub then brings about those who are able to bring softwares and be able to have ICT innovations. Then I think we will have prepared our youth different from the cultural where they go through initiations. They will do that, okay, but we will also have a modern inclusion of young people so that their energy can be tapped, because in physics it is said energy has to be dissipated one way or the other. So you can dissipate the energy positively or negatively. And that's why if there are no opportunities for them, then the issue of recruitment into you know, terror cells and all this kind of thing can happen. And then drugs and other unwanted behaviors. So in order now to redirect that negative energy into positive, we need to, as leaders and as government, provide for them, you know, channels through which these young people can vent that energy and be able to be very important members of the community, and we reduce the drugs and the crime and the rest. Also, this facility is a safe space where young people, you know, could interact, and also they will be free even to, you know, it's a center we can even control HIV and such things, because youth will not usually go to a hospital seeking, you know, services that our mothers and the rest they could not line up with the rest members of the family, I mean, adult members. So if we can set aside also a space where things like HIV testing and the rest could be done, then it becomes a holistic place where training against FGM and young people could be trained to to stand up for themselves, especially the young girls, you know. So I really appreciate the partnership that has come to give my young people in Isiolo this opportunity. The British government through DFID, UNDP, Kenya School of Government, Kenya Film Classification Board, Huawei, especially the issue of ICT innovation. Huawei and Safaricom have come together to ensure that there is Wi-Fi and there is connectivity, so that those who would like to, or those with ICT innovation ideas can be able to, can be nurtured to have those innovation facilities for them. So I'm really, really grateful, and I'm very, very excited. This is the first of its kind in Kenya.
Yes, it is.
We are having Governor Oparanya, the chair of governors, joining us on Thursday. Governor Mutua, all of them very interested to see if they can be able to replicate this in their counties. And I'm very, very grateful, and I'm very excited.
Excellent. You are a trailblazer, Governor Kuti, and we applaud you for the same. When we come back, I'm curious to know something that has been touched on by the governor, how the infrastructure has been set up and how this will, all the partners will ensure that the same is sustainable to see that these youth centers stand on their own 2 feet going forward. Now, you are talking to us even as we asked you on our question of the day, what kind of initiatives need to be put in place to give the youth an opportunity to make a living. Mogoya says all youth who start investments or businesses to pay half price for business permits, and also all youths listed on CRB be removed. Mogoya, we hear you. Brian Bose says government must make sure that the tenders should be given to youth groups without favorism, because individual tender mainly empower the high class. Elizabeth says, let's keep supporting the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative. I believe so much economic power lies here. Young Kenyans are innovative and creative if supported and marketed is, or if support and market is assured, then more youth can achieve financial freedom and better standards of living. Well said. Mary Gateria says corruption is what is eating our economy and destroying our growth. If those in power are stealing from his people, from these people, how do we expect to develop? Our power lies with good leadership. We get leaders that have passion in bringing change and empower the youth, and we shall grow. Thank you, Mary. Danny says, making the system work for them and not giving them handouts, wheelbarrows or mkokotenis. These are dead capitals which depend on the availability of other jobs which do not currently exist. They need real loans and freedom to start sustainable businesses, something that the Youth Innovation Center is actually addressing. And at this point, we take another short break on Your World. We'll be right back.
Safaricom iko na 500 MB free kila siku.
Get 500 MB free kila siku and never miss a moment. Dial *544# to activate your offer. Browse bila was on Kenya's best network. Along came one,
It looks like Luciana is sticking her nose into things
please,
that are none of her
Graciela,
business.
this isn't the right time.
He was always after me and everything was just going great. Until Marta got in the way, just as she did with your father.
If there's anything that concerns my children, you have to tell me about it. Do you understand?
Excuse me for interfering, but if Luciana didn't...
But still, she doesn't have any right to keep from me anything that has to do with my children.
Yes, but...
I don't even want to think about how much trouble she's in.
Luciana, the fact that I can't be with you doesn't mean that I can just forget everything I feel for you.
Are you all right, Madam Lillian? Is anything wrong? It's nothing you can fix. Nobody has the cure for love problems.
Along came love, in association with Blue Band Peanut Butter.
As we take personal responsibility and adhere to all government regulations and guidelines in relation to coronavirus, may we remember that God is faithful. He will not allow us to be pressed, crushed, and perplexed by the epidemic to a point of total destruction. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 9 teaches us that we may be hard pressed on every side, but shall not be crushed. We can be persecuted, but shall not be abandoned. We can be struck down, but shall not be destroyed.
Change can be disruptive, but Business Daily has got you covered from Monday to Friday. Get evolving trends, ingenious business ideas, and the latest tech content in the new market dynamic, and exciting lifestyle content in the new normal environment. Business Daily. More possibilities.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Someone's here.
Wait. What was I supposed to do? Dude, it was clear.
Ty, where are you going? Ty, stop! Open this door! Officer down!
You okay? You hurt? What are you doing? They can't see us. They won't know what we're doing. Get the kid out of the truck. The funny thing about it is, there's no bad guys. Only good guys.
Swahiba. Siri ya upishi si vyombo unavyopikia. Ni kujua ni viungo gani utakavyovitumia na kiasi cha muda utakaotumia kupika nini. Lakini kama hujajua siri ya mafuta poa msimu wa baridi, maisha itakuwa high flow.
The new governor of San Ildefonso, Salvador del Mundo. Everyone already knows who I am in Salvador's life. A frustrated Mrs. Del Mundo. May we have a picture of you together with Mrs. Del Mundo? What are you doing? That's me. Are you done? I'm Gael's wife. I have the right to mourn for him too. Oh my gosh! Anna! Why so dramatic? You just fell down. You're not gonna die from that, you know. You talk a lot for someone who doesn't know anything. I want you to follow them. Obigaini? Is Anna pregnant with Gael's child?
Did you know that you can join Safaricom Sacco? Membership is open to individuals, and corporate employees can also be enrolled on checkoff. As a member, you save and enjoy affordable loans at favorable interest rates and mortgage facilities. Safaricom Sacco, empowering you. Infinix, the future is now.
Thank you for staying with Your World. Let's take a look at the other world. Now, patients turn to crowdfunding due to huge delays like thousands of other transgender people in the UK. Jay and Alexis are on the waiting list for gender-confirming surgeries. But with COVID-19 exacerbating already years-long patient queues in the state-run National Health Service, they are now turning to crowdfunding to finance their operations in the private sector.
It was vital that I now needed to make a GoFundMe because I've waited 8 years before I've been in a position where I can be put on a waiting list, but then, you know, it's going to be at least another 8 before anything happens that will affect me. And it's just really difficult. Gender dysphoria tends to, you know, really affect your mental health. Being not seen as who you are by other people, even when you're surrounded by supportive people, and I'm so lucky to be in that situation where my friends are supportive, you know, my family's supportive, and you know, even then it's still so difficult because you're constantly faced with that every day.
It's either I wait 10 years to get facial feminization on the NHS, or I really work hard. But I don't have 10 years. I don't have 10 years. It's a threat to our lives. It's a threat to our lives. People could take their own lives, and people could go down such dark mental pathways, if you'd like. It would detriment not only them, but people who are close to them.
Hundreds and hundreds of people who have wanted to go forward and who have been referred for gender confirmation surgery. So that might include, you know, top surgery for trans men, it may include vaginoplasty for trans women, or any other number of different surgeries that are available. But because of the very, very small number of surgeons who are available to do those surgeries and the tiny number of operations that they can do every year, it means that year on year that waiting list gets larger and larger and larger.
Now, the second collection of Felipe Oliveira Baptista for cancer, entitled Be a Tiger, was held in the gardens of the National Institute for Deaf Youth. Now, the designer makes the link between protection and nature with enveloping clothes enhanced by veiled hats referring to beekeepers. A collection of comfortable and practical clothes which transport us to an optimistic future. Glenn Martins, on the other hand, presented the men's collection last June, a new How to Wear It video in order to show in the best way possible the versatility and functionality of clothing that he has created for wide projects like these dresses that transform, or these folks leather trench coats that are deconstructed rather, while also playing with the simplicity of scarf skirts. Well, at the Royal Palace in Eastern France, dancers from all over the world are back on stage after 7 months of forced absence due to the COVID-19 epidemic.
Couldn't be more grateful to be here and be working and to be one of the very few performers in the whole world to be dancing at the moment. It's very, very special.
It was a long time ago, so for me it's a little bit scary to come back on stage, but very exciting. For me, going from a contract and working, you know, every night of the week performing to nothing, completely nothing, was very hard, and it was a bit of a shock. But I think that still now the entertainment industry is slowly recovering in Australia, so I feel very blessed to be able to be here and perform on stage again in such an amazing show.
Elsewhere, the prize is an opportunity to recognize the resistance and strength of the children and teenagers who have fallen victim to sexual exploitation, says Colombian educator Mayelin Vergara Perez, known as Maye, who won the 2020 Nansen Refugee Award for her work over 2 decades rescuing sexually exploited and trafficked children. Maye says this prize is an opportunity to recognize the resistance and strength of the children and teenagers who have fallen victim to this crime, and above all, I believe that they are the true heroes and heroines of this story. Soup kitchens have been playing an increasingly important role in the lives of Argentines from lower socio-economic backgrounds amid the COVID-19 pandemic, which has deepened the economic crisis in the country, where the poverty rate has hit a historic high of 40.9%. Victor Dos Santos, a retiree, says, "It helps me a lot, otherwise I couldn't leave." Marina Joski, a coordinator of one of the soup kitchens, says, "We had to go out to do a survey of people at risk, survey of older adults, health monitoring, prevention protocols, and reinforce triple and quadruple food assistance to each of the neighbors." Now, a week after a French student was found dead in a stream, nearly 2,000 people marched in tribute to her in her hometown in the southern eastern of France. One of the students says, "I'm here to pay tribute to Victorine. What happened to her isn't normal to me, and it saddens me because I was in her high school at Leonardo da Vinci in Villa Fontaine. So I came here to pay tribute to her, for her family to keep up the courage and hope that we find the person who did this to her. It frightens us, all the young girls. We are not at peace. We are not at all confident. We are afraid. So apart from staying at home and then finding out who did this, we have nothing else to do but be here and support them." And back to our conversation of the day, the welfare of the youth. Remember, our question of the day to you is what kind of inventions, innovations that should be set up where you are to actually give that opportunity to the youth. Thiongo says the government should start by banning the importation of all products that are considered basic necessities in Kenya and have them produced or manufactured here locally. We hear you. David Misheke says, make personal finance compulsory. Teach them taxes, how to invest, what to invest in. Teach them the value of time and to focus on creating cash-flowing assets that buy their time. Well said. Ogo David says, make the systems work and not just procedural. Musioka says, and the Godfather's policy. I'm sure everyone is nodding in agreement. Valentino Cheng says, the youth only lack exposure and financial support. Most youth are innovative but can't go far due to insufficient funds at their disposal to facilitate the same. Roger Pressman says, sponsorships in sports, arts, music, and entertainment. We hear you, Roger, and clearly these are your comments. This is how you feel, and this is how things are on the ground. And Priska, we were talking about it earlier, and as you've heard over and over again, one of the main disablers to self-employment for the youth is exorbitant, prices when it comes to license fees and, of course, the taxes that come with the same. What is being done to address the same, even as we set up the innovation centers for the youth?
Thank you very much, Gladyss. I think this conversation is very important. And one of the things or initiatives we have come up with or tried to implement in Isiolo is to impress on the youth the importance of public participation in government conversation and initiatives. Because what government has been trying to do in all this is to try and bring some form of sanity and structure in the informal sector. You see, when you don't know what a person actually earns, and as a country, because of our patriotism as Kenyans, we also want to see a better Kenya. And for us to build that better Kenya, you need to pay a little, I need to pay a little. So it may seem exorbitant because it is pegged at a certain level, but this is a conversation that is ongoing. And where we are currently with the COVID pandemic, government has realized that the conversation must continue so that we see how do we simplify the tax regime, how do we simplify making, or rather starting and running a business in Kenya. Because for some, indeed, it can be exorbitant, but there are many who also hide what they make. So there's a balance there that we really must get to, but this will only come when there's data, when there's information, so that the government can pitch it at a level where indeed we are all contributing to building this country. Because let us look at the example we often give with where we were together with the Asian tigers at independence. But what did they do differently? Part of what they did differently was to contribute to their own development. They have actually been part of growing their own countries. So we also need to rise up to this challenge, even as young people, because we see very interesting initiatives, even in our homes as parents, where you buy a piggy bank and a child is encouraged to put a little bit, which comes from sacrifice, not necessarily surplus. So perhaps deny yourself a sweet and save, and then you will be able to do more. So this is an appeal to the youth to understand that on the one hand, yes, government makes decisions, but the conversation is ongoing so that we know exactly at what point to pitch it for different businesses, but we need your information. We need you to have records. We need you to be able to give back that little percentage that you're supposed to give up, to give, which many times will be a bit of a burden for some, and therefore that is where, with county governments, we can also have conversations to see how can the county governments cushion, as I think one of our viewers has rightfully said, for instance, give a moratorium of 3 years to businesses that are starting. But not all starting businesses are at the same level. So when you declare your returns, we may then be able to see, okay, this one needs cushioning at 0 for the 3 years, but another one probably needs to start giving something, because you also want those good roads, you want water, you want all these good things. It comes at a cost. And youth, let's go for it.
All right. And speaking about the role of the county, I have Anne Wamboy on Twitter saying, remember, many startups are susceptible to experiencing failure, especially in the first few years. Governor Kuti, what can be done from where you sit to ensure that we do not lose these youth that we are empowering in the innovation centers?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important, the issue of not just opening these training facilities, but also seeing the youth through and through in terms of support, in terms of the training on taxation, the issue of tax exemption up to a certain level of returns when they are able then not to slide back, because I agree fully that most startups collapse in the first 5 years. So they need a lot of support for those 3 or 5 years that the startup is in existence. So a lot of retraining, a lot of, also there is the issue of how to handle money, because sometimes, and most of the failures is management issues and money management, especially management of the returns, you know. So you find that young people start a business, then they make some money, and the first thing they go for is a good car, the first time, the most expensive iPhone, and so the investment in the returns is also something that, so the training should not be that they be incubated at the business center and then help to start a business and then maybe provided with a fund. It does not end there. It needs, they have to be followed through, and the issue of bookkeeping, the issue of responsible business, the issue of being a responsible citizen, and the importance of paying tax when you are able to pay, so that you are able to get those services that actually enhance the success of your business by providing the appropriate environment, because roads, water, electricity, those have to be provided by government, and it's through taxes. So I think it's a whole paradigm shift and a whole business culture that needs to be developed. It's a culture that we need to inculcate into our young people, so that you don't see these startups and then they are then back again. I have seen quite, and we give about 30%, even sometimes even more contracts, for example, to the young people. But a lot of them land these contracts, and then they land these large sums of cash that has not come to their into their hand, and then pretty soon you realize they are back again seeking the same support, and we need to not just provide the tender, but also we need to inculcate a business culture that then sees them through to turn that seed capital into a progressive business that then they actually become entrepreneurs.
Very well said. And I see Julius nodding his head. Before I give you a chance to react to the same, let me hear from Sumer, because somebody else says something else that actually incapacitates the youth when it comes to self-employment is the lack of markets for their businesses and their products or services. How are we ensuring that those that we are empowering in the youth centers, Sumer, are going to get an opportunity to have their businesses flourish?
Thank you, Gladys. Just to give you a background of what we've done for 3 years, I'll just summarize it up in very short words. What we've done as a government in Isiolo County is that we have categorized different categories of youths, whereby we have the youths who in sporting, where we've given them, we're doing the stadium for them. And we've also been assisting them in doing the county tournaments so that they can nurture their talents. We've also been supporting them in terms of facilitation and also transport when it comes to going out for probably national tournaments in different sections of the county. We have the border circles, whereby we've trained 500 borders and we've given them license. And this has a positive impact in our economy as a county, in that you can imagine 500 border youths have been trained and have been given license, and they do not have a lot of issues with the police, as you know. And also the incidents in terms of crime and also accidents have reduced. We tend to find that that's a positive impact. On the youths that are actually doing their studies, as at now, we're in the universities and different colleges, we're giving them bursaries. That's also another category of youths that we are assisting in Isiolo County. As His Excellency the Governor has also said, that there are this category of youths that are able to do some of these activities, and we've been doing the 30% of tenders given to specifically the youths, and these are issues to do with supply and also constructions. Our youths have gotten into that. We have now this category of youths that we're taking care of in the innovation center that we're coming up with, whereby we have the innovators, the business people, the youths who are engaging in businesses, where we're doing entrepreneurial training for them, and we also have the guys who are also in creative arts, whereby we are linking them with producers, and also we are linking them with Kenya Films Classification Board. We have issues to do with linking them with producers, and also linking them with artists, so that they're able to nurture their talents, and also so that they can cater for themselves and upcome. We have these youths who are doing farming. We've been able to give them beehives, and as at now, there is a processing of honey in Kenya, whereby we are linking the markets for these youths and women. We also have, the conversation we are having as of now as a county is that we are not only giving people fish, but we are teaching the youth how to fish, whereby the approach we are taking is if you have an organized group and probably you're doing something, we look at your accounts and how you've been operating these things. Probably if you're in construction sector, we give you probably as a group of 10, we give you a concrete mixer. If you rent out a concrete mixer in a day for the guys who are doing probably construction and all these things, it earns you roughly 7,000 a day, which is also a way of keeping you engaged and also generating income for you. So these are the aspects we are talking about as a government, and these are the direction we're taking as a government, whereby we are helping the youths, we're teaching the youths how to fish, but not directly giving them the fish.
Okay, very well said. And Julius, maybe also as part of your parting shot, the importance of mentorship and financial literacy. Speak on this and how it fits into the sustainability of not only the jobs and the businesses growth.
Thank you, Gladys. What a terrific question. So what I think's come out really strongly from this conversation from Governor Kuti and also from your viewers is that the youth want this context of opportunity. They have the spirit, they have the dynamism, and what they want is that context of opportunity and then the skills they need. And I completely agree, this issue about financial literacy, but also more wider life skills are absolutely central to building firms. So a couple of things that we're doing. So we have something called the Girls Education Challenge. This is particularly, as you'd guess from the title, about really helping girls gain education where they're marginalized. And one other opportunity, something called the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. It supports small firms to generate jobs, very competitive, but what it does is it provides that mentorship to help those firms grow. And this is the key point. You need the government doing its bit, the county government's doing its bit, but you also need those private sector actors coming in with the support, but also providing that mentorship. And personally, as the UK, we feel this is the perfect partnership. Both the UK and Kenya are known for their innovation and for their creativity. And that's why we're so excited about the partnership.
Prisca, we're bringing this conversation to a close. Your parting shot and how we shall ensure that we enable our youth going forward, especially in the face of the pandemic.
Absolutely. And I think for us as the Kenya School of Government, the sustainability of this program is very much in line with the mentorship that we will continue to provide for the youth in Isiolo, and also calling upon the youth in Isiolo to be mentors to the next county and the next county. That is Moyale, that is Mandera, that is Tana River, and together bring a cohesive Kenya. Because when they mentor one another, when they see that they have similar successes, similar challenges, I think we will be seeing a shift in the culture, as the governor has said. And as the Kenya School of Government, our mandate is to train, to build capacity, and therefore we are committed to continue doing that within the mandate of the school and also to achieve our Vision 2030. Thank you.
Governor Kuti, definitely you're the one who will be shining this Thursday, but many youth across the country are hoping their governors will, catch the vision and run with it just as you have done. Your parting shot.
Yeah, I think this is a very great opportunity for the youth of Isiolo. I will really encourage them to understand, to participate, and to take advantage of this very, very unique opportunity that has come to our county, courtesy of the various partners with the county government of Isiolo, especially UNDP, the British government through DFID, Kenya School of Government, and we are very grateful also to Kenya Film Classification Board, Huawei and Safaricom. All these partners, we're very, very grateful that they were able to trust our county and be able to partner with us and create an avenue for our young people to be able to test their talents, make their talents into a useful, be able to use their talents to better themselves and to better the county and the country as such. I just want to comment on the issue of the future of our country, where, I think the Industrial Revolution happened for Europe. It did not happen for us. We only read about it. And therefore, maybe this is the time for Kenya Industrial Revolution, where we make, products. And it can be as simple products as toothpick. The other day, I was showing in the conference the fact that we should not import certain items that we can make here.
Yes, and it was touched on here.
We are able to make quite a number of items, and I have shown there that about 234 items that we've manufactured should actually not be imported, so that our manufacturers can have market locally initially. It's only first that you can sell your people, then you can export. So We need to create markets. We need to encourage manufacturing. You cannot encourage manufacturing if what you manufacture has nowhere to go, especially in your own country. So
we hear you, Governor. We hear you, Governor. I'm being told I really need to bring this conversation to a close, but we hear you and we wish you all the best with the Youth Innovation Center. And of course, the same will be replicated in other counties in the Northern Frontier. Again, Priska Oluch, Director Linkages and Collaboration at the Kenya School of Government, Dr. Mohammed Kuti, who is the Governor of Isiolo County, Julius Court, who is the UK Aid British High Commission, and Honorable Sumaya Bishar, who is the member of Isiolo County Assembly in charge of the youth. Thank you all for joining us on this conversation and all the best this coming Thursday. Well, I hear you still talking to us, even as you help us understand what kind of initiatives you expect in your area. Anne Wamboi says, remember, many startups are susceptible to experiencing failure, especially in the first few years. I think partnering with the youth is a better alternative as opposed to giving the youth money outright to fund their startups. I hope this can be considered in the future, and that has come up in the discussion. Sarah Sandy says, politicians should and must stop using Kenyans for their mites. We hear you, and especially what happened in the weekend. Albert says, our government have good theoretical plans for the youth of this country, but in the long run, the practical aspect of it is that they are taking advantage of the youth to fund their greed. The best thing is to wash out the corrupt government, and that is a nightmare. That renders the youth helpless. Well, we've spoken about how they can be empowered, and this is happening. Alphonse Anaswa says the youth can vote their old folks out and vote in themselves. Short of that, watachimba mitaro ya kazi kwa vijana hadi mwisho. Alphonse, we hear you and thank you for your participation on Your World this morning. Now, tomorrow morning, we shall be shifting our focus on caregivers. I think in this season, one way or another, people have been called in to take up that role of a caregiver. But the question is, did you know that taking care of somebody else actually could hurt you? Yes, it can if you do not take up a healthy self-care mechanism. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. See you then.